And joining us today, we've got Dan Holder, joining us from England, just north of London. Dan, how the devil are you?
It is a good question. I am moving house the end of the week. Things are super busy, work's good, doing lots of events, running a lot. So all in all, I'd say I'm very good.
Excellent. And so before we get into the meat of this discussion, Dan Holder, let me just ask you a question. When you were in the military, when you were in the Marines, that's the Royal Marines, not the US Marines,
Yep.
the real Marines. Was your nickname Noddy by any chance?
Oh, shocker.
Yeah, the military, very unimaginative when it comes to nicknames, but...
And at school.
Well, of course. So named after 70s glam rockers, Slade, and the frontman, Noddy Holder. There you go. I had a feeling. I just thought about that this morning. I can't believe I didn't think of that before.
I'm pleased you picked up on that. It's a generational thing though, because no one gets it.
It's one for the kids.
Yeah.
It's, the Christmas song. Everyone knows a Christmas song.
It's Christmas.
Yeah. Anyway, so what? Tell us about yourself, and then we'll get into the meat of it.
Yeah, so I run a company called Atomic Rambo Coaching. I do positive psychology coaching. I help people remove alcohol as well, or reduce alcohol. And I do a free veteran service. I help guys improve themselves, and I help them with PTSD. I don't do the therapy, but I either put them in the right direction to a good therapist, or I help people with other things like short-term loans, and I help people find jobs, and a whole variety of things that I do for veterans. And now it's moving into blue light services as well, so police, firemen. But my services for the business are for everyone. So I have all kinds of business owners, CEOs, people who've got kids coming along the way who are trying to improve. And so it's a bit of a broad brush, to be honest.
Mm. And what's the website and what's the socials so people can find it?
Yeah, so atomicrambo.com. On Instagram, I'm Duty Happy Bloke, but I also have Atomic Rambo. There's a story attached to that, Duty Happy Bloke as well. And Atomic Rambo Coaching is also on Instagram. And my email, info@atomicrambo.com. And I welcome anyone to talk to me anytime.
Great. That's great. What's the story then? You may as well kick off with that.
Oh, Duty Happy Bloke.
Happy Bloke.
Yeah, so I come in off a patrol. We ended up with the Americans taking over in Sangin in Jackson in Afghanistan 2010. And there was an American that every day he used to see me come in from patrol after a heavy firefight. And he was like, dude, you're just smiling all the time. He's like, how are you? And one day I came in, I was covered in blood. We'd had a really bad time out on the ground. And he was like, he had this patch on his arm that said, Duty Happy Bloke. And he's like, I don't deserve this. You do. And he gave it to me. and then I just kept it ever since.
So why were you smiling so much? Was this a coping mechanism? You enjoyed it?
100%.
Yeah.
I did it. I enjoyed the simplicity of war, for sure.
Go on.
I thrived in it. It doesn't mean it was easy and it wasn't good, but and we had a hard time for sure. But it's a simple way of living. I knew what my task was and I could do my job well. And there is something beautiful about the simplicity of what we were doing. Although I don't fully agree with what we were doing, but that's a whole
different story.
Yeah.
We've discussed that on other podcasts, so maybe not necessarily go into that now.
Yeah.
But there is it's the ultimate. I talk a lot about on here about having meaning and purpose in your life. And in the military, you get meaning and purpose given to you every day. And you go and get it done to the best of your ability. And the better you do it, the better your reports are, the better you get on in the military. So it's I've got a quick question though, actually. What rank were you when you were in the Royal Marines? when you
Corporal.
left? You're a full screw.
Corporal.
Nice. All right.
Best job in the military.
Well, I don't know. I think platoon commander. Platoon commander
I
is
actually agree. Troop commander. Yeah. I loved it though.
But a corporal looked like a fun job as well. You know, I didn't have to do the same stuff that I had to do, but you've got a great deal of freedom, and you get given your orders and then you carry it out as you wish. And people think people assume the military is, people always say to me, I couldn't handle people giving me orders all day long. Well, you tell me a job where you're not getting told what to do all day long. That's the first point. The second point is you get given a mission, you get given a task, and it's usually you get some handrails, but that's it. You get left alone to do as you see fit. You get given the freedom to do, get it done. And that's the beauty of the system.
My experience of it, I get that I get told that by people all the time. Oh, I would have loved to be in the military, but I'm just not sure about being told what to do. And I had incredible freedom. I don't know what it's like in the army, but in the Marines, if you're trusted and you're a good guy, you are left alone.
Yeah,
you can go and do what you want, and especially on operations.
Yeah, and when
if the boss knows you're a good guy, they're going to let you go and do it. And normally you were I wasn't particularly, not at that time, I wasn't more experienced, but the more experienced guys had way more experience than the guys telling them what to do anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And once you're given that freedom, and in fact, my first boss, my company commander, was really good at putting you in a situation where you had to, you're getting pushed. And then once you get used to that, your confidence goes through the roof, and you start becoming, well, actually, I really enjoy this. I wasn't expecting to be like this. Yeah, it's just you get let go and go and do, be creative, think about something, think out of the box, and go and get it done with the handrails, which is always important because
100%.
You got to stay on target. But so let's go into what happened, which sent you on this path of of how you became now helping people with PTSD. Did you get PTSD yourself?
Yeah, I had complex PTSD. I left the military in 2014. After I was actually still performing really well in the military, but outside of it, I was a bit loose, shall we say, drinking all the time. Just not functioning that well. I couldn't walk down the street. If there was any form of like ground sign or any interference or someone had dug something up, I'd either have to cross the road or turn around and go back the other way, because I was a point man with a metal detector and a rifle in the other hand. And I got blown up a lot. Then I used to get flashbacks every single day. Sometimes for a good half hour, I'd be back in Afghanistan. I was a tree surgeon for a while after, and I'd have to stop the chainsaw. I'd be roped up a tree, and then my boss and the guy I was working with at the time knew the issues I was having. Anyway, I had night terrors all the time as well. But I went to combat stress for a bit, lasted about 2 days. That didn't work out for me. Then I ended up going private, spent about 20 grand sorting myself out to get rid of the flashbacks and night terrors, which worked really well. And then I went on a bit of a journey of self-improvement, basically, which led to where I am today.
So tell me about the flashbacks. Just describe the experience.
So it was normally triggered by, because I worked a lot in the countryside, so there'd be a big field next to like a tree, and then if it was like a big gap and then a tree line at the back, all I'd have to do is look at that, and it looked very similar to the green zone, and then I would be instantly transformed back to, because I had some really intense situations that didn't form memories in my brain. Essentially, they were traumas, and any little triggers like that would send me back. Just, firefights, or I spent a lot of time cutting trees down whilst under fire. And also some things that would trigger me were some of the machines we use at tree work would backfire, and then I'd end up crawling around the floor whilst at work. So
just like that. And what are you thinking about? So you're looking at that tree line, you're looking at the open field, and you're wondering, how do we cross this?
Yeah, I'd just go in like a haze. I'd just be gone. I was really good at controlling myself. So I knew it was happening. That was the thing. I'm fully aware of what is happening. I'm fully aware that I'm up a tree. I'm fully aware that I'm kind of almost in what felt like a bit of a daydream state. And it wasn't like panicky or anything like that. It was just, I just wasn't available to carry on doing tree work. I was just kind of daydreaming my way for, the worst case was a good 15, 20 minutes longer, but normally 5 minutes, something like that. I would just switch out of where I was, go back there, and then eventually I'd come back into it. But it's quite intense.
And did you find it pleasurable?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, quite peaceful.
Just
that's the
days.
Mad thing. Yeah. Yeah, just, we're another day and I'm stuck in a river on a bun line, and, someone's firing at me, or, and yeah.
So
yeah,
for you,
strange old experience.
Okay. And that's, I can semi-relate to that, not to that level of intensity, but the night terrors, what are you getting out of that? Well, just describe it.
The night terrors were even more intense. So a lot of the time I didn't know it was happening, but my partner at the time, I was like screaming. So, and normally it was trying to save people. So most my trauma was created from an inability, me being unable to save people I was trying to save who died, and most of it was attached to that when it came to the night terrors. So it was dragging people through areas of bombs, trying to navigate bombs to get to them, trying not to die getting to them, and then trying to get them out without getting blown up by an IED or shot at.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a fun dream. But you don't remember them? Do you wake up remembering them, or this was just happening?
No, no, I know the exact scenarios because I'd think about them all the time. And it was that I was reliving over and over again. The problem, and it wasn't that bad when I got back. It was when I got when I won the Bronze Star with Valor. I was then paraded around London and different champagne dues and things like that, and getting a lot of this, but they were reading out my citation every time, and all I was doing was reliving the same event and my friends being killed over and over and over again, and that's when it intensified.
I can imagine that's horrible.
Yeah, it was strange to be celebrated when you got people talking to you, blowing smoke up your ass, essentially. But to me, that wasn't. It's completely the opposite. I had failed to save them, even though now reflecting back on everything and what there's nothing I could have done. But at the time, all I was thinking was, well, I didn't do an amazing job, and it was pretty traumatic, and I lost loads of friends who's you don't get to go to their funerals. There was no closure whatsoever. They were just gone. I come back to the UK and that's it. It's just over.
Yeah. No grieving process. None of that.
No, none at all.
No. Yeah.
Which I have done now. It's just taken 15 years. Not 15 years. I've been good for quite a while now. But
so I was reading about this other day, about how in fact, no, it was my acupuncturist. We were talking about this because I had a recurring leg injury from playing football. And have you ever had acupuncture before?
Yeah, loads.
Okay. I
It's
couldn't believe
amazing.
how far those bloody needles went in.
Oh yeah, when you watch it.
I couldn't. I saw one. And I was like, no, just do what you have to do. But he was talking about it and how the the traumas, and he said it could be a generational trauma. It could be something that's come through your DNA. It could be something that you've just compartmentalized and put somewhere else. And because it doesn't really help you with your daily function. And I'm very much paraphrasing what you said. But this when you compartmentalize this, let's call it your trauma, whatever happened there, it's still there, and at certain points it will manifest. That will come back into your life because it's never really gone, and that's why you have to do the work to try and get through it. And if I look back to, because I'm quite old nowadays, I don't feel it, but I'm quite old. When I was a kid, a lot of my relatives had been in World War II. In fact, my grandfather, he came back from World War II. I only found this out recently. My mum told me because we were looking through some old photographs and we found him, and he was in the Royal Engineers, World War II. And because he was in the forestry service in Scotland, he could drive a bulldozer.
Yeah, I got you.
And they were coming in at the back end of the war.
I know
What do you think
exactly what I know. Yeah, I know.
What do you
exactly
think
what
he
you're
was
gonna
doing
say.
at Bergen-Belsen? And I was stationed in
Bodies.
Germany, just a few kilometers away from Bergen-Belsen. And
Wow.
what do you think he was doing?
Yeah.
He was
Yeah, that's
bulldozing
brutal.
dead bodies into huge pits. And he came back. He was messed up. But no one, I mean, they used to call it shell shock. Then that got changed to something else. Then it became PTSD. And in those days, I had, relatives who were functioning alcoholics because there was no real support. They just, that was the coping mechanism back then was alcohol.
That was the medicine.
That was the medicine. And, even to this day, well, certainly maybe not now. I've been out for quite a long time. In fact, 20 years, almost to the day, in November 2005. And there was in the military, they have this big drinking culture, and that's how you bond. You get a few drinks in you and you start, talking, especially towards the end of the night, and then the truth comes out, and then you start to realize that this guy is actually pretty badly fucked up. And then that's where the warning signs come out. Then you have to get the community.
That's how I got found out.
The CPN, the community psychiatric nurse, which got not attached to your unit, but they were there for quite a few units, and they would, if you've flagged one of your soldiers or one of your colleagues and said, "This guy, you need to have a chat with this guy because this guy is not in a good way." So the support structure even then wasn't great, but the coping mechanism was alcohol, which is, as we know now, probably not the smartest thing to do.
Not ideal.
No.
And that's exactly what happened to me. I hid everything in the military, really doing absolutely fine, no problems at all. And then it was on a night out. It was at some function, and then later on in the night, he's my sergeant major, it's a good mate, go skiing with him every year. He looked over and was like, he doesn't look right. Like us, and then everything started clicking because I was a reservist. I was a rubber dagger then, and they had no idea what I'd actually been up to at war, because how do you really know? There's no massive report that tells you exactly what your guys have done. It's only when I got the medal that they were like, bloody hell.
Yeah, that is another thing. My living relatives, when I was at my great uncle, he went through World War II as an officer, and he was in almost every theater: North Africa, Europe, Burma.
Yeah, same as my great granddad.
Yeah, and whenever I ask, "Come on, Uncle George, tell us about the war," and he's like, "Nah, you don't want to hear this." I mean, you did. I was desperate to know what he was talking about, but he wouldn't come out with it, so you wouldn't know. All I knew that he had a chest of medals this big. He got the Croix de Guerre, which is the highest award for bravery from Charles de Gaulle, the president of France at the time. Personally gave it to him, kissed him on both cheeks, that kind of thing. And you think, oh, bloody hell. And then they had a special display in the Regimental Museum for what he'd done. So you think, okay, this is the real deal, right? But he never talked about it. I had to go and check it out myself. In fact, I'm actually I'm trying to get hold of him to get one of the historians to come on and break it down, what he got up to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, it would be great. So anyway, we're digressing from me towards, I want to go to you. So what was it? You said you got blown up several times.
Yeah, so there were 2 incidences I got my medal for. The first one, I was QRF, so quick reaction force, for a patrol that was out on the ground. They'd hit an IED. 2 guys were injured badly. I had headed out as a point man, so my job was always front of the patrol, come across a river to get towards them. As I was coming, another IED's gone off, so they've now got 5 casualties. As I'm coming across the river, the other side, I'm going against a wall, and then they're kind of round the corner. But as I step round the corner, something in my mind's like going crazy, like, don't put your foot down. And I look down, and there's a pressure plate just under my foot, like an inch away. I call over my section commander next to me. I'm like, Tony, you think that's a bomb? And he's like, oh yeah, that's a bomb. So I turn around, get back in the river, and all I'm trying to do is make a safe route to them so we can help them out, because they were only a multiple of guys, so 12, 13, and they have 5 casualties. Wow. So, and as you're surely aware, it takes a lot of guys to rescue just one guy. So I get back in the river, and then there's wires with grenades on, and it's just a shit show, basically. I end up cutting away, like, diagonally up a bank, make it up the bank, and, I've avoided everything. We get into them, and it's just like a proper mess. They're in an old compound that had been bombed by the Yanks. So a 500-pound bomb had hit this compound, so all the walls are like 2 foot high. And there's 5 casualties spread around. There's 1 guy in a bomb crater. Then there's 2 guys together, another 2 guys together. And we just start evacuating all the casualties. My friend John has been blown up badly. He's the first guy we take out. We take him out through the route that I created, and then we got to go about 200 meters across a field to drop him off with the sergeant major and to take them back to the base. But as we're running with the stretcher, the Taliban ambush us from both sides, and we've just got rounds like crack, 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 like dust, everything. So drop him off. I'm pretty sure he's not going to survive. And then I end up going back and doing another 3. So I'm just shuttle running the whole time. The last guy, we run out stretchers. I have to put him on a ladder. He's got blast injuries to the back of his legs and his arse. And he's in like super amounts of pain. Put him on a ladder. It's really hard to keep him on. We're going through rivers, up banks, all under fire as well. And then we get the 5 casualties out. They get taken away, and then we end up in a massive tick firefight with the Taliban for the next hour or so. So that was the first thing. Then then the second, I got put out with an American bomb disposal guy. But the day before, I've been climbing trees and taking the trees down. Now, the area I was in was 50 meters outside of Jackson, which is the main base in Sangin. And when I was up the tree, I could see wires in the river because they'd all been snagged by like leaves and debris and stuff like that. And then down the alleyway, I could see where they dug all the bombs in because I was so high in the air. It was just really obvious. It's never obvious when you're at eye height, but as soon as you're high up, you can see it just becomes like a much better map. So I relay it to the boss, go back to the base, and they're like, damn, we got a special mission for you. This bomb disposal guy's flying in and he wants to go out tomorrow and look at all the bombs you found. So I obviously agree. The next day I go out on a small patrol with him, his number 2, and then 2 guys with me, and we've got Overwatch. Some guys on a roof and a wall overwatching us. But the area we're going is a really channeled. There's a river, then there's an alleyway, then a wall, and the wall's got murder holes in it. Behind the wall is an orchard that the Taliban used to use all the time. And this is 50 meters from the main base where we're operating. I've already identified a couple of wires in the river, 2 IEDs on the bank, another 4 up the alleyway. And that's before that, and that's things I found. There's probably way more. Anyway, we get there and he says, oh, Dan, don't trust your metal detector. And I tried to explain, I don't really use the metal detector. I only use the metal detector to confirm if I've actually found something. Really, it's your eyes and everything that's going on around you. Normally the atmospherics. So there's people everywhere, kids playing all the time. And if the kids run away or they're not playing football in a certain area, you know there's probably a reason. So I explained this to him and he kind of fobbed me off. And I said, are you sure this is a good idea? Because we're really channeled. We're in a really bad position. But he mugged me off, basically. So I ended up having to just overwatch him. And he gets to where I found the first bomb. And within minutes, he has ripped it out of the ground. He's snipping. He's diffused it already. And I was like, Jesus, this guy's like impressive, but a little bit loose. And I probably didn't say it, but he's American. He's from the USMC. And then he moves to the next one, and I'm 5 meters away from him. Probably, actually, I'm closer than that. I'm a couple of meters away from him. As he moves to the next one, he gets blown up. I get thrown back onto my ass. And then I basically check myself off once all the dust has settled, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. I got away with it. Turn my metal detector on, up I get, and then it's just starting to kind of deal with a really bad situation. His number 2 is running around trying to find his friend. There's bombs everywhere. So I managed to get hold of him, bring him back. Then I'm radioing up to the guys who are overwatching us saying, can you see anything? One of them identifies what he calls a ragdoll. And I'm like, okay, we found his body. His body's about 30 meters away. It'd been blown across a river, hit a wall, and then stopped. Then my job is to get everyone I'm with out from where we are. It's about 30, 40 meters. So I dip down into the river. I navigate around a few more bombs and basically take everyone with me whilst looking behind, because I'm worried now the Taliban are going to attack us, because ideal situation and they've heard the bomb and they know that we're sitting ducks, basically. I managed to navigate around about 4 IEDs that I know of, get the guys up to a wall. They put down a ladder. I get everyone up the ladder to safety, and then I try to go and get his body on my own. But luckily, my sergeant is way wiser than I am and says, what is the point, Dan? Like, you've done enough. And this was another basis of my PTSD, was me trying to save people, even in silly situations. Like, this guy isn't alive. You know, his injuries are not survivable. And I'm still trying to save someone. and putting myself in ridiculous risk, because I can literally picture the ground now. The amount of ground sign and stuff that was dug up on the route from me to go and get his body was wild. The chance of me surviving, even getting to him, was super low. Anyway, I take his advice and I leave. And that's the second thing I got my medal for. But the first incidents after the second explosion, when I had to start zeroing in and try and, my foot was hanging over the bomb. From that moment, my foot was hanging over the bomb. In my mind, I look at everything from bird's eye view. All my memories are from above. Which we'll get to later when we talk about experiences and why you feel that way and why it was like that. But every memory I had from that it was so intense that I don't even remember it from my own eyes. Everything's from spatially.
The hairs on my body are all standing on end after that one.
Sorry.
No. That's. Oh man, that is fucking
but
intense.
This happened. But that's just what I got the medal. That's just what I got the medal for. And obviously, I was with fantastic guys. We all did loads of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was just 2 days. I was doing stuff like that. That's just what I got the medal for. And obviously, I didn't know I was going to get a medal. There's loads of other events and things we were doing all the time. But that was just 2 days in Sangin in 2010.
It's the weekend.
Yeah.
So I never actually went to Afghanistan. I managed to, I didn't dodge it, but it just never came
it just
through.
didn't drop.
It just didn't drop for me. But a lot of my regiment went there many times. I did a podcast with Dave Richmond, who was a company commander when I was a company 2IC or something. And he told me some pretty wild stories. Ash Alexander Cooper, another guy, just the wildest stories of ambushes and all these things. And I've got I can picture the situation, but you can't really picture the situation. But I'm familiar with the experience, but I haven't experienced it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
But for anyone listening who's not been in that situation or has no experience of that, it's wild. The fact that you were doing this and the fact that you're actually able to, you've come through the other side. And I mean, I guess it's never going to be 100%. I'm making that assumption.
I don't know. I class those experiences as are my strength now. This is why I've ended up going on and doing loads of things. I don't think I would be who I am now, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do without going through it. So in my eyes, although not, lost some great friends, terrible situations, it can be seen as positive for sure.
Well, that's it. You have to bring the positives out of it and make something positive from
100%.
it.
And that's a lot of the work I do, especially with the veterans. It's just about reframing and not. I could easily spend the rest of my life going, "Oh, this happened to me, and because that happened to me, I'm like this." I could have easily done that, and I could have done that with a whole host of situations across my life: childhood, war, business. There's so many things I could use as excuses to just put my head down and go, "Oh, I'm like this because of this," and that's the difference. And when you know that you could use it as an excuse, or you could use it as fuel to live a better life, then you decide which hard you want to pick, don't you? Because it's not easy. But I tell you what, living a life of purpose and having, for me, is fantastic. Yeah.
And it's the reframing of it. I had a guest on who was talking about the trauma. Is how you can use. You just actually just said the same thing, but it was how you can allow that to define you, or you can take the lesson from it and
100%.
then not be beholden to it. I guess that's the hard part. Did you have a regular childhood? Was it pretty happy and all that, or was it screwed up, or how was it?
I personally, I think my childhood was really good.
Right.
But I grew up without a father. Then my mum remarried. I'm the eldest of 4. And I was like the father figure to all them growing up. Then, so there, I haven't had a dad basically at all. So, yeah, but in my eyes, my mum's amazing. Hard woman. And, me and her, essentially had me young. We grew up together. Like,
right.
She's,
So, sounds like me.
Yeah.
Sounds like me. So I have to. We have
so
to talk
not
about
easy.
Not easy, but yeah, okay. Because you have to wonder sometimes whether there is. I wonder sometimes whether because some people seem to go through it. I know guys who, I mean, they're obviously going to be affected, but it doesn't seem to, what they've seen doesn't seem to affect them very much. And I mean, it clearly does, but they can live with it well. It doesn't manifest outside, alcoholism or drugs or whatever, violence. But I wonder if there is a certain amount of like trauma and bollocks that you've had in your life that there's maybe we have a bottle that gets filled. Let's, if you can use that as an analogy.
Yeah.
That you get to the top of the bottle and then there's just no more space. And then that's where that could be where the breakdown comes. Now, yeah, and because for me, there's no real rhyme or reason as to who you'd think, like some of the biggest, toughest guys in my platoon, in my company, were some of the ones who went down with it, and the other guys who you would probably expect more. It was not, there was no rhyme nor reason to it as to who got affected.
It was explained to me by multiple people, including my sergeant major, who was like he was one of the trim guys. So who you'd see after a traumatic event, you'd go and see him.
Oh, right.
And then you'd all sit down and run through it. And I remember on about my 15th time, in a short period, he was like, "Oh, Dan, you're back again." And I remember years after speaking to him and him being like, "Yeah, Dan, you had no chance." He was like, "You were involved. It's just the way it landed for me. If something was going to happen, I always ended up being there." And my exposure and the amount of traumatic events just meant that bottle is gone.
Yeah.
And like some of those events we were in, and it was mainly the Americans, but most people have killed themselves after. Like it's not, I've gone on to do things and I live a fantastic life. Like I'm super lucky, but the chances of me not getting PTSD after that tour were super slim.
Yeah.
Really slim.
That's
almost
non-existent.
Yeah. And obviously you don't think that at the time. Like, of course I'm not. I'm a Royal Marine Commando. I'm a hard man. And you don't think that things are going to affect you until you start being aware of it and you understand how it works. And the chances of me not getting complex PTSD after that was super low.
All right, so we have to go here now to talk about this. So you get one of the things I'm really big on at the moment is intuition, and so you had an experience.
I've had it all my life. Yeah.
Good. All right. So, okay, when did you first realize this?
That was the first real realization. I think when I was younger, I've had to learn and adapt really quickly. because as learning myself, I'm the adult from a young age. So I've had to learn, you know, especially when it comes to people, I see light and dark a lot. So when I meet someone, I'm quite sure. That doesn't mean that that I see as dark is a bad person, but I see what's good for me and what isn't good for me quite easily. And I can see the light and dark in people. And I have ever since I was young. It was the same, and that transformed into war. So in war, I was very good at picking up on people I met, and I was very good at having intuition about who was good and who was bad. And that saved my life so many times, because I'd meet a farmer and I would interact with that farmer, and I'd manage, because I knew he was good, I could then get him to put a flag on his roof or say something before we were going to get ambushed. So I knew it was going to happen. And I did stuff like this all the time. And it was that. And I'd walk down the road, a farmer would pop out who I'd seen a week before, and he'd just go like this, like just a little wave, and then he'd run away because the Taliban are watching him. He'd give me a little wave and I'd be like, oh, okay, I know something's coming up. And it was that intuition that the military do not teach is the thing that kept me alive. I don't mean the military don't teach it. They're not. But it was that natural intuition
and
instinct. And the same thing that stopped me from putting my foot on the bomb, which is a whole multitude of things, because that was halfway in the tour. I'd done a lot by then. You know, there's probably subconscious things going in my mind going, you're in a bad position, you're by a wall. They always dig things near a wall. You've already come up a bank. You're going to an area where there's casualties, and they normally try and do it on an extraction point. So there's all these things going on, but I'm not really thinking that. I'm thinking I want to save some people. But clearly my brain's working overtime. It's, yeah.
And so you, but the way you described it before was that you got to, everything was screaming at you, don't put your foot down. You know, what's that all about? You know, people are going to say, this is nonsense, but come on, out with it.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Yeah. It's, I think it's a higher, what I know now is it's a higher level of operating. It's exactly what it is. I just didn't understand it then. I understand it now, and I know what it's like to operate now at a higher level, and to be more aware and to use my brain more effectively, because now I've felt that feeling again. But it took me a long time to understand it, because I went from someone who's operating a bit like this, to be honest, in the military, narrow, to someone who had to operate like this, because it was either that or I die. And it is that really made me question a lot of stuff. And probably one of the reasons I left the military, because I just knew there was way more to everything than me just being in the military. And I was definitely right.
Okay, but yet maybe if you could define what you mean when you say you're operating at a different level. Just if you could give your definition.
Yeah, subconsciously I was operating at a different level. I just wasn't that aware of it. So when these things are happening, I wouldn't say I was completely conscious of it, but when that particular thing happened and I was screaming at myself, that's when it all changed. That's when my mind just, all of a sudden I'm aware. I knew where the firing points were. I could map where the rest of the bombs will probably be, because I was starting to think like the Taliban. And that, from then on, I found loads more bombs. It's what stopped me getting killed on that with the American bomb disposal guy. I was cutting down trees on a tree line, and I was sidestepping and avoiding parts of the bank because I knew there were bombs in the bank. But the only reason was because I'd started thinking way broader than just my SOPs and how you're supposed to act with a metal detector and a rifle and being a soldier. How trying to explain it, and
It's difficult.
It's super difficult.
But you're operating on a higher
survival.
level. Yeah, and you are, by definition, you're operating on a higher level. But by definition, you are already in an altered state. So we talk about altered states. If you take magic mushrooms or LSD or alcohol, coffee, whatever. But fear or awareness, that can be anything like that. A heightened level of any emotion can put you into an altered state. And this is where I start to, where I get really interested. I've been in that situation before quite a few times, where I am operating at a level that I didn't know I had. And it's not like, it's actually otherworldly. If you're asked to ask me, it's not me. It's not this, flesh and blood.
100%.
It's something else. It's something operating a different level of consciousness. And we talking about higher levels of consciousness. And when you realize these higher levels of consciousness, all the rules that we were brought up and taught at school and we learn from our families and everything, they go out the window. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. But like yourself, I try very hard to use the intuition to make decisions. And it's a superpower is actually what it is, if you can tap into it. The ability to see everything, sense everything, feel everything at the same time is, you'd think it would be overwhelming, but it's actually not. You become really calm.
It's way calmer.
Yeah.
That's the reality is when you are aware, it means that you're not just like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? It's more pure flow state. Flow state.
Intuition. It's flow state. You're in the zone, perfectly in the zone. And what was it else you mentioned something? I'll remember it in a second. But darn it, that's gone. But anyway, carry on. So when you get into this state, can you reproduce those states now on demand?
Yes, now.
Really?
But there was an enabler.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah. It's a long road, and I've had EMDR therapy that stopped flashbacks.
What's that?
Electromagnetic desensitization. I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I always forget what EMDR stands for. Basically, a therapy, it's either lights going from left to right, or it's two electrical diodes in your hand, and you talk about and the premise is that it's removing that trauma and trying to put it into a different part of your brain as a memory, so you don't have the responses. And so anyway, I had that as therapy. Then,
do you want to see something
this
cool?
is after. Yeah.
Hang on a second.
Of course I do.
Keep talking. I'll set it up.
Okay. Then I'm at a loss as to why I feel this way, and why these things happen to me, and what life's about. And so I dabble. I'm a very curious person. So, and my whole sport, I was a sportsman at school. I'd never taken drugs other than alcohol, plenty of alcohol, never done any drugs at all. Always thought they were bad. People that do drugs are bad. That's until I started meeting loads of people, and I'm like, you're a really cool dude. And he's like, yeah, and they do drugs.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, how can these really nice, amazing people who I have a lot of interest with, and I don't have that much interest with the drinkers, why are they so anyway? So I dabble in all sorts of things, and realize that none of it's really for me, to be honest, other than the odd, do a pill at a festival or something, and it was fun. But that's not really doing anything for me, shall we say.
Yeah.
Then these people that I know were like, whatever you do, Dan, don't do mushrooms, because they're so intense. We would worry about how you are with your PTSD and what you're like. This is what people said. This is quite a long time ago. You know, we would worry about how you would behave and what you would be like and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, so that's in my mind. Roll forward 5 years or whatever, I get an opportunity to do some mushrooms. I do some mushrooms, only a small amount, and I'm just like, yeah, I am not a danger on mushrooms.
Yeah.
At all. And you know, I did a couple of grams or something like that, small amounts. People are having intense situations. They're finding it very intense. For me, this isn't intense, because intense is back in Afghanistan fighting. This isn't intense. This is opening, like, it's making me think lots of things and really opening my eyes and my mind. And I'm like, you know, this is wild. So instead of, and this is with a disclaimer, I don't think psychedelics should just be, people should just be doing it all the time at all. And I'm the type of guy that I might do it once a year.
Same.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think, and I know it's not addictive, but I think the feeling and the experience can be. And I think that's what I see from people. Oh, I need to do this to get this. And I always say it with a warning. I'm like, it will, if you are wanting something, it's not going to give you what you want. It's going to give you what you need. And what you need might be not what you want. And it's not going to be easy.
No.
You know, what I got from it I basically ended up doing a massive dose. I did a massive dose. And behind me,
how much
was 8 grams.
Oof. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And yeah, and that's why I say it with a disclaimer. You're not going to get what you want from it, but you might get what you need. And
that's
what you
always
need
the case.
Will be hard.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
So, can you see that?
Oh, yes. The lights.
Does that look like something that you're familiar with?
I didn't have it. I had the one with the electrodes in your hands.
Ah, right.
But yes, there is. It's left to right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just
very cool.
If you're not watching on YouTube, if you're just listening, so I'm holding in my hand something that you strap around your head. I put it on. It's got a bunch of. It's called a neurovisor, neurovizr.com. Yeah, that's how you spell it. And you put it on your head like that, and you turn it on, and it flashes little diodes into your eyes, and it can send you into an altered state for meditation, things like that. I'm either not using it very well, or I'm just not very good at this sort of thing. But there's a bunch of different programs, and I'm also slightly wary as to what they're programming into my brain. You know, turn me into a Manchurian candidate or something. Become an assassin. But I used it on the transcendental meditation setting. That was pretty cool. Enjoyed that. But I'm not totally convinced by it yet. So anyway, I was just wondering if you got that sort of therapy.
Yeah, no. I had the electrodes in your hands, and that investment was wild. That got the ball rolling. So the flashbacks didn't end like straight away. It took like a long period of time, but it did stop it. And that led me on the road to everything else.
I was gonna go back to it. So the sun's just come out. It was raining all night. Hey, we've got a lot of snow. Not here, not where I live, but up in the top of the mountains. It's still a bit too warm. Just to but Dan and I have talked often about not often, but enough about our love for the mountains, and probably a little bit jealous me telling you that. But yeah, I getting blinded. But the altered state you mentioned,
Yeah.
getting into that altered state when you are in that situation, your senses are heightened, extremely heightened. I mean, if you could bottle that feeling up and sell it, you'd be the richest man in the world if you could figure that one out.
100%.
I personally have the feeling of the opinion that in the past people could do that on demand, and they were living on a much higher level of consciousness than we are now.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And I think I would listen to a podcast the other day with a lady whose daughter was in that, this telepathy tapes where they've taken these nonverbal, some not always nonverbal, but autistic children with either nonverbal or limited verbal skills. And then it turns out they're telepathic and they can jump around different timelines, different levels of consciousness, read your mind.
Wild.
All this, and I know, I mean, I'm convinced that we have telepathy. That we are naturally telepathic beings. And I'm not saying that because I'm crazy. It's because I get it with my wife all the time. Oh, I haven't heard from my wife today. And then she calls, it's you get that feeling now. And it's not just that. I've had it on mushrooms that you can't start communicating telepathically, or you're not talking to each other, but the feeling's there, right? And
yeah. And that's what happened to me, to learn to, it enabled one thing, and it was to let go.
Yeah. So
in not just it for that, but for lots of things, and being enabled to let go of lots of things that are not just holding me back, but was what then meant that I could just get on, and do all the things I want to do.
So the question for me is, I've been trying to, so I'm using that neurovisor thing, meditation. Not very good at meditation yet. I'm getting better. I'm starting to see things that I'm starting to experience it better, so that I can actually do what where I want to be, in my meditation, trying to achieve these higher levels of consciousness. And I've always been I've spoken to lots of people about PTSD and using ayahuasca, for instance, remote viewing, things like that, going, out of body.
Yeah.
Fun sounding stuff. And, I'm going back and forth as to where I want to be. But I've always felt, I've had this intuition, is that psychedelics aren't the answer. They can help, gives you that experience of where you want to be, but whether you can do that yourself without the use of psychedelics. And that's been my intuitive feeling with it. And I know too many people who go from, it's one experience to the next. It's sassafras ceremonies. It's going into a dark room for 6 days. It's LSD, it's mushrooms, it's ayahuasca, it's San Pedro, it's the next thing. And and from my experiences on it, the download you get, the information you get, and I do it pretty rarely, is you get told, in my experience, you get told what you're doing wrong or how to be better. Yeah. And it's up to you then. It's like being hit in the head with a hammer repeatedly. They're saying, this is what you need to do. And then it's up to you to come back from that experience and implement those changes.
Make a change.
But it's hard to do because the patterns are so inbuilt. And so are you able now?
Which is a lot of the work that I do.
Okay, great. So please tell me more about that.
So a lot of the work I do is about making, because I agree with you with psychedelics. So you get hit like a hammer, and I'd agree with that. You're hit with a hammer, all this information's been downloaded, and you've either written it down or you haven't. Some people write things down. I have written it down before. And then you're like, well, how am I going to implement this? And the reality is most people don't really have the tools to then implement the things, or they try and do it in one big foul swoop and change their life massively, and it all implodes and goes down the pan. The reality is you need to take small steps, small, consistent, disciplined steps in order to work towards where you want to be. And I give people the tools to go from here, and you start slowly working towards where you want to be. Because in my experience, and everyone's different, if you make these wild, big changes, you know, there's everything else going on in life. You can't just, you know, go on one trip or one ayahuasca retreat and go,
That's me, I'm done.
because yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, the work,
And you need a bit of guidance and realistic expectations and goals in order for you to move in the right direction.
Right, we should, maybe you and I should do a bit of work together. A little bit.
100%. Love it.
What's it? So when you said you were hitting the bottle, you're drinking a lot and getting into situations, as generally speaking, is when you can tell when someone's not right. Being able to hold your booze is that you can have a few drinks and not make an arse of yourself. And and when you do start making an arse of yourself, it's knowing when you got to get yourself home and get to bed.
Yeah,
right?
pop smoke,
as we used to say in the military. And it's basically, you know, nothing good's going to happen come of this. And we all know people who just can't and start doing silly things. For you, how was that manifesting? Were you getting violent? Were you becoming?
Yeah, I definitely get violent. Not like me inciting violence, but if I'm out and someone's, you know, I'm going to react.
Mm-hmm.
And not,
you're looking for trouble. At the same time, you're not looking for trouble. If it comes along, great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then just generally being an idiot, to be honest. It's not even that. The thing is, me on booze just isn't me either. It's just not a nice version of me, and I don't want to be that person.
And so what steps did you take to kick it? Did you just give it up?
It took a long time. I think I probably tried 5 or 6 times to quit alcohol properly. The big change came after the big 8-gram mushroom hit, where I met. So going back to that, I basically, behind me, I'm leaving this office this is the last call. And
ending on a high.
Exactly. Yeah. And on this wall is a picture by a guy called Tim Taylor. And if you haven't seen Tim Taylor's photos, he's a not famous, to me he's famous. He's a mountaineering photographer, but it's unbelievable. Like, his pictures are unreal. And I've got a 2.5 meter picture there that hangs on that wall, which is currently wrapped up in bubble wrap, of Makalu, 12 miles. I think it's 12 miles near Everest, one of the 8,000 meter peaks. Just a fantastic photo. And when I did that 8 grams of shrooms, I was laying on my sofa and looking at that picture, and all of a sudden I'm in the picture. And I'm back to the feeling of that first incident in Afghanistan. And then it all links. And I've got that bird's eye view of myself. I'm on the mountain and I get to see John Crooks, Steve Curley, Matt Harrison, Dave Hart, my friends who died, and we all meet, and they're embracing me. We sit around a fire, and finally John, who's always been with me, goes, we don't talk, he just points up the mountain and he doesn't say anything, this is the thing, but I know what he's saying, and he's pointing at my mate Kev up the mountain, who I still mountaineer with today, and it's okay to go now. And I leave and I go with my mate Kev up to the summit. And that experience was the beginning of me being able to let go of those experiences. It was being back in that state. It was the first time I was back in that state from that first incident where I got the medal for. And then it all clicked. I was like, this is, that was intense. 8 grams of shrooms will knock you on your ass. But that was the gateway to me being able to just be okay. And that was the beginning of me never drinking again. I never touched booze ever after that, ever again.
And
that isn't how I gave up. That was just the catalyst.
So that experience was your friends saying goodbye to you.
Yeah.
And then you could carry on.
Yeah.
Ooh, man. That's pretty hardcore. That's got me nearly tearing up here, son.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
And
Blimey.
and then I did go with Kev to Denali, and I did summit Denali, and everything went wrong. The airline lost my bags. I ended up not with my team. I ended up not summiting with Kev. But rather than play the victim and the airlines lost my bags, I can't do it. I just allowed it to happen. I bought more gear. I went up the mountain on my own. I met fantastic people. I got involved in this, what I can only call a true love story of this couple I was with. And it was just seeing a married couple, how in such an extreme environment and how they interacted with each other. It was just beautiful to watch. The whole thing was amazing. And just working my way up that mountain, and I end up getting what I can only describe as the most amazing summit. And it was only because I allowed it to happen. I allowed all the shit to happen, and I just went with it. And just embrace what's going to happen. You can't control everything. Just control the controllables and move on. And that was just... I don't think I would have been able to do that if I was still drinking either. Because it just got in the way. It just got in the way. Get in the way of the training. Gets in the way of... You get sicker. I haven't been rarely sick now. It just, one training day you drink and then that knocks on a few more training days. And I wanted to be super strong on the mountain. And I was, because I was just training consistently. I was doing all the things I'm supposed to do, eating better. And yeah, it just that whole thing. And then it all comes out, then you summit the mountain, and then I'm like, this has all happened because of this. And you just start realizing why all these things happen. And the airline lost my bags and turned it into this amazing experience. And instead of like moaning about it, I just accepted that it is what it is, and it just ended up being the most beautiful experience because the airline lost my bags.
Going with the flow. Don't resist.
Just go with the flow.
What you resist persists.
And that doesn't mean that every mountain trip was like that. I just did Alpamayo recently and got HAPE and ended up having to, bomb off the mountain in a pretty spectacular way.
What's HAPE? High altitude?
High altitude pulmonary edema.
Right.
My lungs filled up with fluid. My oxygen levels were in the 40s, and I'm like,
holy shit! Really?
Yeah, it was really bad. Yeah, really, yeah. And luckily, and part of my training for people in awareness is surrounding yourself with good people. And I mountaineer with some fantastic people, and they're perfectly capable and were capable of getting me down. But one of the other things that is resilience, which we all know about, especially coming from the military. But I know in bad situations, I can operate.
Get it done.
Get it done. And we still got it done. So,
what was the name of that mountain?
Alpamayo.
Where's that?
Peru.
What height are we talking here?
It looks like the Matterhorn, 661.
Oof.
It looks like the Matterhorn on steroids.
Oof.
Just ice. Perfect pyramidal peak.
Right.
Like, unreal. The Andes, for anyone listening to this who loves mountaineering, the Andes is a 6,000-meter playground of ice climbing.
Yeah.
Recommend it highly.
I was supposed to be going to Laos, Southeast Asia, for a motorcycle tour. I do these adventure motorbike tours,
Nice.
mainly off-road.
Yeah.
And just can't, it's not going to work this year, so I couldn't go. But we're talking, me and the guide the guy who organizes these trips, driftadventure.com. People, I think it's called Drift Adventure. Charlie, shout out to Charlie Paring. And he's talking about next year we're going to Peru to take the bikes from Lima. I'm not sure where we're going to fly into, and then go to Machu Picchu on motorbikes. But I want to do all the different sites on the way, the ancient sites, to go and check out all these places.
You can. There's only a few places I've been where you're going to get this. The vibration and the feeling when you're there is
insane.
Intense.
Yeah, so it's Sacred Valley, isn't it? So you get to Machu Picchu, Cusco, Sacsayhuaman, Pumapunku, all these places.
Well, yeah, I was just in the mountains, but I know those places are in the mountains too. But where I was,
a bit higher.
But it was it's something else.
What's the?
And I think someone like you would.
Yeah, I'm drawn.
Would want to go there.
I'm very drawn.
And the people, amazing.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing, and it's something special about that place. And that's coming from someone who nearly died there. I still had a fantastic time. The journey, I still learned so much, and that's the thing.
What?
It's not all bad.
At what altitude did you get your altitude sickness or your HAPE?
5.5.
It's not too high.
The airline lost my bag again.
All right.
I was a day behind. I missed out a rest day, and I went too quick. It's my own. But the problem was it was either the lads slow down, which wasn't happening, or it was I speed up. I sped up. I'm not the best at altitude anyway, and I know that. If I'm being honest with myself, I'm not the best. I have to go a little bit slower. I'm super strong, but it doesn't matter with altitude. So, and yeah, I needed that one extra rest day, and it would have made all the difference. But I didn't take it because I was already a day and a half behind the lads. So that's why it happened.
It wasn't a criticism. It wasn't a criticism in the slightest bit.
I'm criticizing myself.
When I said it's 5,500 meters isn't very high to get, but I've got friends who get it 4,000 meters.
I know people
really
get about 3.5 people. Yeah. I know people who got sick.
That's where I ski sometimes. And higher.
Yeah. And when I'm in the Alps or milling around doing 4,000 meter peaks, most of the time you're at 3,500 meters. So
right, we're an hour and 13 in. Dan, you got time for you got time for a bit more.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about your angel?
I may as well. What, John? Where's John? It's the guy who let me go up the mountain. He's always been with me. He's a really good friend, and in everything I've done, and I talk to him a lot.
Was that your?
I still do, but in a different way now.
So people were probably wondering who John is. What are we talking about here?
So John was a soldier who died on that first incident.
And he's been hanging out with you since?
He's been hanging out with me since,
yeah.
And still does. But it was more as a guide before. Now it's more, and whether he's really there or not there is who knows.
I understand.
But I've always had a presence of someone with me who has really, really helped me in the tough times. Because, I'm a lucky guy. I'm a really lucky guy. I have such a fantastic life, and I don't think I would have. It's all achievable on your own, but I've really had some help along the way, and in some really tough times, he's helped me pull my socks up and just get up and keep going. And yeah.
But what do you talk about when you say you're having your tough times? Do you talk to him and he's saying, "Hey, listen, stop being such a bitch. Get up, get going."
Yeah, that comes in. Yeah, it's not like open dialogue at all.
No,
It's no.
it's
No,
one way.
no. No. I have the thoughts in my head that come in that aren't from me, for sure. They're not me. I know the difference between me talking to myself and that constant chatter that everyone has and to something else.
Yeah.
And I get something else, and that's who I believe it to be, and always have done. And it's been for a long time as well. And it's either I'm a schizophrenic or but I
Yeah.
it's it only cemented that when I did the hero dose of shrooms, because I met with him and it was he is exactly who I expect him to be, and exactly who has been talking to me without really talking to me, just through my brain.
So this is a manifestation. Your friend John. I said how I'm going to put it and get my head around this. It's a manifestation of your, let's call it your guardian angel or your intuition or whatever it is you want to call it.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but whatever you want to call it, and it manifested through your friend John, because otherwise it's words can't describe what you experience, and our language and our brains I can't tell you my experience because it doesn't make any sense to anyone else. But this is how we actually listen to this. I'm listening. I'm in the middle of it right now. So, have you ever heard of the Danny Jones podcast?
No.
He's really American guy, really good. And it's got this guy called Thomas Campbell. Is that his name? Thomas Campbell? Let me check.
Danny Jones.
Double check. The latest one anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thomas Campbell, his name is. And he is talked about this very subject last night. It's funny you should mention it. That's how I was sounded quite intelligent there. But he mentioned the fact that we will use that something that's familiar and that we can talk about. So, for instance, we mentioned Dr. Rob Kelly, who I did the podcast with, the guy you very much resonated. He met his angel was called John as well.
Yep.
And was it an angel? Was it all in his mind? It doesn't really matter. The fact is that that thing, whatever it was, helped and got him off of, he was a real 100% alcoholic. And, you can't just turn around. Actually, I asked him, is that your angel? Does he? And he said, you know what, it probably is. And he, now that I think about it. And so it's funny how this guy was saying the same thing last night, is these experiences are personal to us, but at the same time, I understand what you're saying. I have that same conversation sort of information I get. It's not even a conversation. Well, it sometimes is, but you get that. Yeah. And I really want people to be able to experience this as well, other people, because I think everyone does, but most people just simply close it out, shut it out, or ignore it.
Yeah.
And that's a shame.
And that's a lot of the work I've been doing over the last year or so. It's really ramped up in the last year because I started I've been doing work with veterans for the last 6 years, but I've been working with everyone for the last year. I started a proper limited company, and I've got a couple of people that work for me and things like that. And a lot of my work has been taking people from really early stage of awareness and understanding why they're feeling a certain way. And, some of the people I'm working with have never, ever spoken about any of their feelings with anyone ever. So I've got people writing things down, and we start off by them journaling, writing things down, and then we morph that into, once they're used to that, then they can start talking to me about it, and then we can talk openly like me and you are. But and that's what I mean by it's the stepping stones. It's just progress in the right direction, because especially the guys that I work with can't just go from 0 to 1,000. But they want to get there, and people's, they meet people like me, and maybe I'm not the best example, but I'm very open about everything.
Mm-hmm.
But they know me, and some of these guys know me from work. I was, what I would call a high level arborist, tree climber, rigger. And they see me, and then I talk to them, and they're like, "Oh, you're not really the guy you're not the guy we thought you were. I thought you were like ex-military, bald head, hard man who used to climb trees at a really high level, not expecting me to start talking to them about their feelings."
Mm-hmm.
or why they are setting patterns and why they're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and then trying to get them to realize that, so then they can start making changes. But it's the small steps have been the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I get a client like one I've got at the moment, who's a CEO of a big company, and they are just like a sponge.
Oh, really?
Like,
Give me
they
more.
want more and more
Yeah.
and more. Yeah, give me more, give me more, give me more. And you're like, wow. And then that's fantastic too. But you get, it's all individual, isn't it? Because everyone's at different stages.
Yeah. From my point of view, since I've opened myself up to these conversations, and because I would never have, I mean, you can't, you know yourself, you can bring this up, if you're sitting in a trench and we start talking about angels and our feelings, and, we'd be getting reported to the CEO, we'd be getting disciplined or kicked out even to that for ruining everyone's morale as a danger to morale. But since I've opened myself up to these conversations and I speak to people, former colleagues, guys I was really close with, and I'm constantly flabbergasted by the connection we get when we start opening up and talking about. I'm not saying we're not like crying in each other's arms or anything like that. It's not like that at all.
No.
It's just being aware and open to the possibility of higher consciousness, a higher power, which is universal consciousness. Let's
Exactly
call it what it is, that we can all tap into. And I think it's just to when I go to dinner parties and things, I know what everyone's going to talk about, and I don't really want to be there until I sit next to someone and I'll start off with something crazy and see how they respond. And if they respond well, okay, right, we're going to have a conversation, a real one.
Yeah, you're in.
Yeah. If I say, I think the pyramids are a lot older than we've been told, and they go, yeah, me too. Okay, right, good. Now we can start talking. That's usually my break in. You can just.
But when I go to events, especially now, I can think of a few examples recently where I have walked in, and I always have a good look around. And like I said about the light and dark, I also have a very good feeling about who is quite aware of himself just by the way they're being. Like, I can see it. I can see people who are a bit more open to, everything. It's clear as day when you walk in a room, and you can see them and you can feel them, and it's all there. And then all of a sudden you start talking, and it's like, and it can't just be coincidence that I always run into these people, because it seems to happen all the time.
Exactly. I couldn't have put it better myself. Yeah, wow. Well,
just like this.
Well, exactly. You texted me out of the blue, and I said, "Who the hell is this? How did he get my number?" And we had a call, and yeah, okay, done. This is going to be a great subject, and it has been. One more time, Dan, because I'm going to have to let you go. I have to let myself go as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But that's okay. But we can do this anytime. And I would, because there's a lot we could have gone into, a lot more we can go into in the future,
yeah.
and which I think
That'd
would be
great.
very useful for other folk who have been in your situation in war zones, other hotspots. And so one more time, Atomic Rambo, ATOMICRAMBO.com. And what was your Instagram again?
Duty Happy Bloke.
Duty Happy Bloke.
And Atomic Rambo.
Okay. Me, so Mr. Kindness _ pod on Instagram, MISTER. Mr. Kindness on YouTube, X, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. All that doesn't seem to do anything anyway. I don't know why I even bother with the social media. It's for the kids, man. I'm old school.
Connection and talking to people is what
Yeah, I
matters.
suppose. So Dan, Noddy Holder, thank you so much for coming on, mate. And I'm going to drop you a little call after, if you don't mind, a quick chat.
Yeah, brilliant.
And take care. All the best. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Appreciate
listening.
it.
Bye-bye.